What is up, everyone? I hope you all are doing well. My name is Ishaan and welcome to the video. If you haven't checked out my last week's video, I was talking about why the process matters more than the destination. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to check it out. Today's video, it's a little bit of an extension of that video, but it's also kind of like a separate topic, so it depends on how you really see it. But getting into today's video, I want to talk about why I hate sharing my wins with other people. I know it's kind of weird, but I'll break it down in this entire video. The reason I'm actually recording this video is, I had a lot of other ideas on the table, but recently, a couple weeks back, I was inducted to this honor society based on, I don't know, it's a pretty arbitrary system. I think it's just based on grades or some shit. But anyways, I got inducted to this honor society, but I didn't really tell anyone about it because personally, I didn't really find it to be something that I necessarily needed to share with people or be like, oh, I got this cool thing or I got this or I got that, because it wasn't something that I was aspiring to aim for. It wasn't something, it was more of a byproduct of my process rather than something that I was aiming for. So I didn't necessarily feel the need to share this with people. At the same time, I think, again, this is based on a system that kind of rewards obeying the rules or the regulations of what school has put out and exceeding or meeting those certain expectations that people want you to meet. And then based off of that, you kind of get into those, you kind of get those labels on yourself. So not that this reward system doesn't work for some individuals, I just find it to become something that has been a part of the education system for a while, but it also has kind of detrimental effects, especially at younger ages. But anyway, so I got inducted to this thing, didn't tell anyone about it, and one of my other friends, she also got inducted into it. I think a couple of my other friends did too, but they had this whole ceremony, and she told everyone, she invited folks and everything of that sort, and people were going, and someone asked me oh, are you gonna go? And I was like, well, I'm actually inducted, but I can't go because I have to do something else at that time. And he was like, oh, why didn't you tell me? And that kind of kicked down my thought process of kind of actually walking through as to why I didn't share it with people. So let me take you all down a little memory lane. When I was younger, I was actually born and raised in India, so I was part of a very rigorous education system, super competitive, and up until 6th grade, I did not really care about the school stuff at all. It's not that I couldn't study, it was more of I was choosing not to do everything with my full best effort. So I was always kind of just fuck it, whatever. And I used to get my parents really pissed with this because my mom always knew I know you can do it, so I don't know why you're not doing it. And I just couldn't convey at the time that it was something that bored me. I was not completely intellectually stimulated. But after 6th grade hit, I actually made a lot of changes and I started studying on my own, and that's when my grades in school really popped off. I was moving from that point on, I was mostly an A student. And then 8th grade, middle of 8th grade, I moved to the US. Now, moving from an Indian education system to a US education system, the best way I could put it is just shit just becomes kind of easy. It really does. You don't have as many expectations. People are not as competitive. And when you grow up in that competitive nature, I was always really eager to brag about my grades. I was really eager to talk about shit because that's all we did back home, especially at that age. So coming here, that was already a big shock to me. Things are a bit much laid back, they're much easier. Of course, I wasn't gonna complain about that, so I was straight chilling in my classes and shit. I was balling, still getting my A's and shit, whatnot. Enter high school, still doing fine. I'm taking AP classes, still doing good. But in high school, I kind of started coming to the realization yo, people really don't like you when you show off or when you're trying to brag about these things. And to me, that was weird at first because, again, I came from a system where everyone did it. And now I was part of a place where people didn't really share those kinds of things like really openly. Only some people did. Other people were kind of more like, a little secretive about it, wouldn't really want to share it with everyone. And I was that obnoxious kid who'd be like, oh, what did you get? Oh, what did you get? Like, that's how I was. And I had to learn that with time, that I couldn't do that, because it's not, well, first, it doesn't prove anything. Like getting better grades, or like in an exam or in a classroom, like what it really shows is that you can do what the professor or your teacher asks you to do, and you're meeting their expectations. That's exactly what it means. Now I see that now. So in high school, again, when I was in the younger years, I was that obnoxious kid running around sharing everything with everyone. And with time, I started to learn that, am I really doing these things for the validation that I'm gonna get? Which, by the way, I wasn't getting any anyways, externally. And then, or am I actually doing this because I've always wanted to, or like, am I studying this because I want to? And when I started making those shifts, or when I started having those mindset shifts, my grades in my non so interesting classes like US history or government, like shit like that wasn't sciences, my grades kind of like toppled down a little bit. But my grades in the sciences remained to be pretty high still. And that was because of the fact that at home I started dedicating more time to the sciences, because I was actually enjoying it more, versus just trying to do everything so I could get A's. So that was one of the biggest mindset shifts that I ever made in high school, that completely changed my academic trajectory. Then I came to Wheaton. Wheaton is also one of those places where there's a mix of things. Some people are really competitive. Other folks are a bit more laid back, a bit more relaxed. They don't want to talk about those things. And it was now, after coming from an education system in India, moving to the US education system, and then finally entering a really new space again, I knew I had the choice of choosing what kind of a person I really wanted to be in this space. And I don't know how, I know how, I made those mindset changes in high school, that I knew when I walked in here to Wheaton that I was not gonna be that person that runs around asking what they got. And I feel like I've really pretty much stuck through it for the past 4 years. Like, whenever I get, and I'm not gonna lie, I've always done pretty good on exams, even at Wheaton, all my classes, even especially my sciences, fuck. And it's mostly because I really enjoy it. It's not because I want to get the A's, because I actually enjoy doing the work for it for the most part. And then A is kind of just like a byproduct of it. Yeah, do I aspire to do good on my exams? Of course I do, but it's also because of the fact that I want to learn some of those things, and I want to learn them effectively. And when you learn them effectively, I can easily put that on exams. It's not something that's hard for me to do personally. So that exam thing, back to the exam thing, I'd never share my scores with people in class. Now, there is an exception. The exception is if people ask me. So that's the kind of mindset I carry now. I'm not gonna share my wins unless someone asks me. And I think that's very powerful. I really hope that people get to, I really hope that a lot of people decide that for themselves and do that and employ that in their lives as well. And I implore you to do that. And here's the reason why. When you get those wins and you don't feel compelled to tell it to anyone else, it really shows that you did it for yourself, and you didn't do it to please other people, to meet other people's expectations, or to get external validation. When you genuinely don't feel like sharing that win with other people, you did that for yourself. You know for a fact that you went through that process because you wanted to, and not because someone had asked you to or someone had expected you to. I think that's so powerful. Just realizing that in the mindset, and I took this to other areas of my life too. Like I said, it started with academics, but then I stopped sharing a lot of my big accomplishments unless someone asked me. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be sharing stuff with people. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But it's difficult sometimes to hear people just like bragging about on themselves, and I'm just sitting there like, bro, like, I hear you, I love you, like, you know, your accomplishments are great, but I don't really love you for your accomplishments. You know, I love you for you, and like I'm your friend because I want to be your friend because of who you are, not what you accomplish. And that's also another mindset shift that I didn't realize like until just a couple years back in college, that you don't want to, you like, why do you need to feel like, why should I feel the need to share my accomplishments with someone so they would like me more? Like, that doesn't seem to, that I feel like that's so weird. And that fucks it up even more, where now you're questioning whether the person actually likes you and wants to hang out with you, or are they with you because of the accomplishments that you have, and somehow they think that they can benefit off of you in some sort of way. Maybe I'm thinking like too cynically on this second point, but I think, talking this out, I do think that I really value my friendships in a way where I am friends with people because I want to be friends with them, and not because of their accomplishments or what they've done. At the same time, I feel like sometimes my wins go unnoticed or unappreciated in a way. But like, if I'm not really actively trying to tell people, then they're not going to give me that external validation to begin with. And then I start to question, like, you know, I'm thinking this because I want external validation off of those things. So if I feel like my wins are unnoticed or underappreciated, I just have to continue to remind myself, like, yo, did you really do that thing for external validation, or did you do it because you wanted to and because that was your process? On top of that, I also gotta remind myself that, you know, that at some point it's all gonna pay off. Like, when you're putting in so much effort into your things, where as byproducts you're actually getting some accomplishments or milestones, mini accomplishments along the way, then you just gotta keep going on that path, because that means you're on to actually something, you want to do something that's actually gonna get noticed in the longer run. When that's gonna be, who knows? How is that gonna be? Who knows? But this is what it means to also trust the process. You'll have failures, you still gotta trust that process, go through it. You're gonna have those mini accomplishments, mini milestones, but that's also part of the process, and you just have to trust that even if those go unnoticed or underappreciated, you're on the right path, and you're gonna get to where you want to, and that's gonna show. It's, oh yeah, dude, it's the exact same thing where people who train for some kind of competition, their hard work doesn't show until the day of the competition. That's when you find out who actually put in the most amount of hours when nobody else was watching. And I guess that's how I'm seeing this process too. Like, there's many milestones along the way that can go underappreciated, but when that final term comes and when that final thing actually happens, like, it's gonna show who was actually putting in the consistent work in the process versus who was just doing it for the mini accomplishments along the way. So yeah, I hate sharing my wins with people unless they ask me. But what I do love sharing is my process. Like, I do love talking about, you know, I did this, you know, I did this. I failed at this, but then I started doing this. So I'm not sharing my accomplishments, but I'm trying to share what it is that I'm actually doing in my path. So my advice here, or I guess what I'm really trying to get at, is try to not share your wins with other people. Oh, before I even conclude this, let me start off by let me just put in another thing. In this world, bro, some people are just like trying to like one up each other. Like, I feel like I've been in situations where one person is, you know, saying something, and then the other person just has to say something that's like somewhat better than them, and there's like this little, almost like a competition. Like, fuck, like, what the, first of all, what the actual fuck? What? Why? What? I feel like that really just stems from some type of either insecurity or wanting a lot of external validation. Whenever that happens in social situations, I try to just like stay quiet and not say anything, because like I don't know, like even like I just don't feel the need. And again, this is the same concept of this video. Like, I don't feel the need to get that external validation. I don't feel the need to one up someone else by inserting one of my accomplishments or one of my things. And with that said, I wanted to conclude off by saying that I hate sharing my wins with other people unless they ask about it. I don't try to actively seek out telling people what I've accomplished or what's a label that I got or what's something that I've, achieved, like something that's placed off of me from an external source. I love talking about my process. I'm gonna keep talking about, I did this much work today. I did this today. Like, I actually put in the effort for this. Like, I failed at this, but then I tweaked this so I could do this. Like, I'm gonna talk about that process. Like, I am gonna speak about that, and I'm gonna share that with people. But I'm not gonna share the wins that are those mini milestones that are placed from like external sources, like the honor society thing, my grades, things that are more of like classifying things. I said things a lot, and I also said I do a lot. The word do. Anyways, to conclude one more time, forget about the wins, or forget about sharing the wins unless people ask, because you need to know for yourself whether you're doing it for you or are you doing it for the external validation, and that might even be stemming from an insecurity, perhaps. Like, really self-reflect. Try to answer those questions within yourself, by yourself, that do you do the things that you're doing to impress other people? Do you try to do these things because you feel like you're gonna be liked more by your friends, or you feel like you want that external validation from your professors or from other people? Whatever the reason may be, just realize that whatever you're doing, you should be doing because you want to do it, and the process should make you happy, and even the end product, like, it should make you very satisfied with your process. And if you feel the compelling need to like share that with a lot of people, then perhaps there's some things that you might want to consider internally, whether again, where that specifically is stemming from. Again, I think it's super powerful when people don't share their wins unless someone else asks them, because it also shows me that like, that person is definitely someone who's confident in themselves. That person is definitely not looking for external validation. Like, that person knows what they're doing and why they're doing it, and it's not for any other person. Again, some people might think this is too cynical or like a bit too extreme, like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not extreme. Like, you can share the process, share exactly what you're doing, but you don't necessarily need to completely share all the wins unless people ask you. With that said, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. If you enjoyed the story time, got something out of the video, or have something to debate about, drop down in the comments, leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications, because I drop one new video every single week, and I will catch all of y'all in the next video.